Ignore the breakdown. Not really. Hey everyone, I'm Matthew Cornwell with Get Taped here in Atlanta, Georgia, one of Atlanta's original audition taping services, which I co-own with my amazing wife, Brooke. And now on to our topic. Ignore the breakdown. Not really. Every week at Get Taped, we have at least a handful of actors that lament to us that they don't fit the breakdown. Sometimes they say it matter-of-factly, but oftentimes they say it with frustration, even anger, as if it's offensive. Let me first defend actors. Let's say that you haven't had many auditions in the last 6 months. So when you do get that one audition and it's for a different ethnicity, sex, age, you're thinking, is my agent just trying to throw me a bone to keep me satisfied? That can certainly hurt the ego, which is already in a fragile state if you haven't been getting a lot of auditions. And on the flippity flop, if you're getting a ton of auditions, you might be thinking, do I really need to audition for this? I'd rather focus on the roles that I'm actually right for instead of this 50s female? That actually happened to me once. So we get it. Brooke and I are actors. We've both experienced these same emotions. But let's get a little perspective. First of all, if the breakdown represents an age range, an ethnicity, or a gender that doesn't fit you, feel free to follow up with your representation to make sure it wasn't a mistake, because occasionally those mistakes do happen. But I'd put my money on the fact that it was not a mistake. So what gives? Do they really see me as 50s female? No. What happened was casting had discussions with producers and or the director about all of the roles, but specifically your role, and they determined that the specs needed to be changed or that the net needed to be widened for that particular role. They may have already seen a group of actors for that role that they just weren't happy with, or some other piece of the casting puzzle has caused your particular role to change specs. For example, let's say they're casting 2 lawyers, and because these lawyers will be sharing the screen, they don't want them to be identical in age, gender, or ethnicity. So let's just say that the initial breakdown for the lawyers are as follows. Lawyer 1, male, 40s, Caucasian. Lawyer 2, female, 50s, black, Hispanic, Asian, or any other ethnicity other than Caucasian. But let's just say that partway through the casting process, they now determined that lawyer 1 should be a black female. Maybe because they already found the actor they want to cast, or something about the script has changed, or just made them realize that that fits that character better. Whatever the reason, casting now will issue a directive to the agents that lawyer 2 should be, let's say, 40s male Caucasian to offset the 50s black female of lawyer number 1. And I, as the actor, am not privy to any of this information. Additionally, it's cumbersome on casting's part to update the breakdowns on your Actors Access CMail as they go along, because this happens a lot more than you might realize. So I end up getting an email in my inbox, having no idea about anything that's happened prior to this moment, that says lawyer 2, female, 50s, black, Hispanic, Asian, or any other ethnicity other than Caucasian. And I'm thinking, what? So yeah, it's understandable that the actor might be confused or even frustrated that they are being asked to audition for a role that they're not right for. You might even think, my agent clearly doesn't even understand who I am or what I'm right for. What is the deal? But let me pause and take a step back here and remind you that for the vast majority of your auditions, when you receive that casting notice in your inbox or as a CMail, is an indication that not only does your agent think you're right for the role, but they have submitted you to casting and they have approved you to be submitted for this role. So now 2 people who know more than you about the needs of the project both agree that you have the right look for this role and you might be able to book it. That's good news. So Matt, you might be saying, should I just ignore breakdowns altogether? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, not really. Because the breakdown can contain some important, helpful information. Most of the time, there are descriptive adjectives in the breakdown that can help you in your preparation for the character. And sometimes that breakdown actually includes new information that has been updated. For instance, let's say that on the first pass, all of the submissions for the lawyers were too dramatic. So when the audition finally hits your inbox, at which point it might say second pass, third pass, fourth, fifth, I've even seen as high as 12th pass, the breakdown now might say, comedy skills a must. Please don't play this too serious or dramatic. But even if it doesn't have new information in the breakdown, those descriptive adjectives should still be studied. But hear me on this. You are not studying those words as a rigid set of guidelines on how you're going to play the character. No. They should be looked at as insight into the minds of the writers and producers of the show. Because once you've read through the script several times, even if it's just the sides for your character, and you've looked at that breakdown and you've compared that, and maybe you've even done research on the showrunner or the director, you will start to put together a picture of what this project is, even if it doesn't exist yet, even if it's a pilot or a film. And you will now start to understand tone and pacing and what it is your character is supposed to do, how they're supposed to fit into this overall story. So with all this information, you will now be able to craft a performance unique to you that both honors the script and the character breakdown, but is not some mere approximation of what you think they want. No. This is your opportunity to collaborate, to bring your signature performance to the role, to show them your version of the character. So do not get trapped by the words in the breakdown, especially the physical traits, because you can't change those anyway. Just trust that, again, your agent submitted you and casting approved you. And for those adjectives, those descriptors, use them to craft a unique spin on the role. Warning, when I say unique spin, I do not mean to make some sort of gimmicky choice in an effort to stand out. Quite the opposite. You're narrowing in on a part of you that is unique and bringing that to the character. Warning number 2. If in the breakdown there are some adjectives that are perfectly descriptive of you, be careful that you don't load up on those same behaviors when you go to audition. For instance, if the part calls for intimidation and you feel like you got intimidation in spades, the trap is to show up to the audition or when you're self-taping to try to lay it on, to be intimidating. And that will just come across as too much. Why am I breathing heavy? This actually happens a lot in our experience at Get Taped. An actor comes in excited that this role is perfect for them based on some of these adjectives in the breakdown. And so then they do their darndest to knock it out of the park and be that character. And they end up doing too much. And it backfires. When those adjectives line up with who you already are, then it's an invitation to really do nothing when it comes to those behaviors. To just be yourself. To trust that that part of you that you already know is innately in you will bleed forward into that camera lens. Because trust me, it will. So in short, read the breakdown. But hopefully with this discussion, you will now have gleaned enough insight into how to use or not use the information within that breakdown to craft your signature performance. And if you want more information on what I mean by this signature performance, then I invite you to check out our sister YouTube channel, Sam Christensen Studios Atlanta, to understand a little bit more about what that means. That's it for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on set.